Welcome to the Fandom Foundry, and this is the show where we talk about the things that made our week significantly better. I am Todd Oxtra, joined by a mystery man. He has a unique history that I'm really excited to talk about. That is Taye. Taye, welcome to the show. I met you from, I believe, the XCP Discord, also other Discords that we all kind of play around in, and I was always impressed by your very measured discussions, which is very unusual on the internet. I did some internet creeping, found that you had a YouTube channel, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool, dude. I heard your voice. You have this very calm way of speaking, and I'm like, okay, let's set something up. And you were like, all right, by the way, I am in Ireland, so we got to figure out this time zone thing, but we did, and we are here. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here, and likewise as well. I came across you in some of the Discord servers as well, and your takes was, as soon as I started seeing your takes, I was like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy talking to this guy. I'm going to enjoy the back and forth or whatever. And that is true. You had some interesting comments in relation to the business side of things in the gaming industry, which is primarily what I actually talk about. I don't talk too much about the review of games, which is fine. I think it's quite subjective, but yes. I think what is a bit more objective is certain stance, what you should do in this business scenario. Like there's clearly a better position or better strategy to navigate. So I find that a little bit more interesting. But yeah, listen, thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Excellent. Yes, I work for a corporation. You are in the financial industry is the best way to put it. So both of us have that in part of our lives. It's ingrained in us. And yeah, those who are sickos do find fun in looking at the business side of what we love. So, but we know if the business side we love is healthy, then we get more things. So when it's not very healthy or there's problems, we get nervous and we have to say this is why. And so people can understand what drives the industry versus, what people have a perception of. But with that, I always ask people when they're new to the show or new to the network, I want to know your geek origin story, how you became the geek you are today in regards to numbers, media, things like that. But starts from the beginning, because you were telling me, where you're from and where you live now. And I think that will give us a unique perspective on where you are in the world.
So I was born in Nigeria, and it's funny when I think about my geek origins. I remember being in my cousin's place, and he had the Game Boy, and it was the black and white Game Boy, the original Game Boy. Mm-hmm. And I was playing Mario, or maybe it could have been Jumpman at the time, but I'm pretty sure it was Mario. And we were also playing the NES, so we were playing Street Fighter, and that was pretty much a Street Fighter and Mario were the games that I kind of started to be okay, yeah, I like this hobby. This is something I'm good to play. Then I got a Sega Mega Drive. So I moved to Ireland, and then I got a Sega Mega Drive, and then I got a PlayStation 1. And I enjoyed the PlayStation 1. I enjoyed playing Crash. It was fun at that time. But to me, video games at that point in time was still a fun thing to do. That was it. It wasn't anything unique or special. I would still prefer to go play football, for example, with my friends instead of playing games. And then when it got towards, let's say, the 360, and I played, Mass Effect. And I started playing all these other games that were more story driven, that were trying to tell a narrative. Then that's when I kind of got hooked. Pretty much, I was like, oh, okay, this is bigger than just fun. And then it got to the point where it's yo, do you want to come outside? I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay home and play this game. I need to finish this game. And then that's when everything pretty much kicked off. And if you've seen my channel, it's very Mass Effect RPG / focus. And that's because primarily Mass Effect is one of my favorite franchises out there. Commander Shepard, all the side characters. It was probably the first game where I felt oh wow, I'm actually able to, influence people's lives in this game. And I'm able to, to make changes to this world in a way that, makes sense to me. And I'm not just choosing what's right or wrong. I'm choosing these gray areas where maybe this is correct, where it's asking me tough questions about my moral judgments, about how I feel about, the reality of things. So if you were to take these game concepts and put it into the real world, those are the decisions I would make. So Mass Effect, of course, The Witcher as well, BioShock, all these kind of games that kind of, made you think critically about situations, made me truly fall in love with gaming. But of course, as well as a kid, you watch the animes, you watch Dragon Ball Z, you watch the Narutos, you watch the Justice League, Batman Beyond, Batman of the Future, Beyblade, all cartoons pretty much. So I'm pretty much in a geek in that sense of anything that is entertainment, drawn, reading, comics, etc., etc. I'm all there.
Excellent. I heard so many things. I'm like, oh, I'd love to ask more about. I will bring it all back to one thing: Mass Effect, one of my favorite series of all time. That's the reason I got a 360, because I tried playing it on PC and I had an audio bug. I couldn't figure it out. So my friend said, "Hey, if you have a 360, I'll loan you the game." So I'm like, guess I'm getting a 360. So yes, that series was amazing. The way it went.
Are you saying exclusives by games? I'm sorry.
You know what? It kind of did, because at that time, Xbox had Gears of War wasn't exclusive, even though they didn't make the game. Epic made that game. That was an exclusive. Alan Wake was an exclusive. There were so many games. They had exclusive GTA content. I mean, it became something where I'm like, I didn't feel like it was a problem, because I just knew that was the way things were. And it's kind of sad that we come to this point and it's like, well, if they aren't doing it, I'm going to hate them in the worst company in the world. I'm like, well, then you have to hate Nintendo. So I think that's a larger discussion, but it is one of those things where what's best for the game is where I feel like is more important than what's best for the company, because companies are unfeeling and like money. But I was going to ask you about Mass Effect. So we've had the main series. We had then we had the fourth game, which some people didn't love. I enjoyed parts of it. Some parts I'm like felt a little bit lacking. I actually own the helmet from that, which is great. And we are getting potentially a new game sometime. Don't know much about that, but we are also getting a series. So with that, where do you feel? I mean, what do you feel about Mass Effect? Where it's going? Because obviously BioWare struggled, and I don't know what to expect next. But I mean, considering we're getting great video game media content now, and then this game. I mean, unless you played Dragon Age, I'm blanking on the name. Veilguard, which I liked, but a lot of people did not, because I'm not a huge Dragon Age fan, but I enjoyed what I played, but I know it's not what most people were looking for. So with that, what's your thoughts on the series and the next game?
So it's an interesting one, because Mass Effect Andromeda itself isn't a bad game. You can say it's probably a average Mass Effect or bad Mass Effect game. It's you would say it's the trilogy's cousin, but maybe the cousin that isn't as cool. It had some interesting ideas, and I think people loved the combat. And there were some elements that they kind of touched on a little bit, such as terraforming planets, etc., etc. But overall, it was lacking the main foundations that Mass Effect fans would really love and like, which is the story. The characters, the side characters, they didn't do a great job there. These characters were not really as appealing. Now, you could make an argument that, well, it was the first time we're seeing those characters, so we needed another 2 games to really like them and fall in love. But they didn't do enough job. They didn't do a good enough job to kind of catch our attention. Mass Effect 4's biggest problem for me was actually the fact that they had all the ingredients to be the best Mass Effect game, and they floundered that. When you think about villains like the Ket, a villain or a group of a species that takes from other races to improve themselves continuously, then the question I am asking straight away is, how is that culture like? Are there some people within that culture who hasn't evolved with all these other races? How do they feel about religion? How do they feel about the group? Do they see the other races that haven't evolved as weaker than them? There's a lot of evolutionary things there. You could almost look at it like humanity, for example, right? If we want to go all the way back to when we were in when we started to evolve, from all these other like the Denisovans, the Neanderthals, etc., etc. When we started to evolve, if we have them in our society, do we look down on them? It's such an interesting concept, and they didn't touch on it at all. at all. And do you take the Krogan's DNA, add it to yours, and now you're like stronger? Do you create maybe a separate class of people who are now like seen as maybe the brutes? And is there discrimination within that group because they're just the brutes and not as smart? So much things to play with, so little conversation. So that really upset me. Also, I think they chose the wrong protagonist. You had the twins, which was okay, but Alec Ryden himself, he's N7. He's a combat veteran. He was messing around with AI, which he shouldn't have been. So then he got disbarred, if that's a word. But he did it also to save his wife. And then he has kids. There's so much there from a complexity point of view that it makes him even more interesting than Commander Shepard. And you don't get to play as him. What?
Yeah. It's very frustrating because I felt the way too. I'm like, they have the foundation. They've cleared up all of the issues from the past games. The combat was in a really good place, and I was disheartened because I felt like, oh, we're going to get a lot of interesting new aliens and species, and I felt the one they introduced was had no defining like feel of, like, wow. I mean, I just think of all those characters we got, the Krogan and all those things, and we even got like amazing just differences in all of these different societies, what they were like, and then it's like, oh well, we are just going to keep the pieces we already had and didn't really introduce a lot new. Although I will say, where Andromeda was going towards the end, I'm like, okay, I see where they're going, but it felt like wasted opportunity. Like this almost could have been like a side story to get you where you needed to go. It's almost like this could have been like a flashback episode or something like that, right? Like it's
for sure.
Yeah.
There was even the benefactor, who's the person sponsoring this? What is their goal?
Exactly.
Then you meet the Angaras, this race who, a bit of a spoiler here, but they are, like created. How did they deal with that being they're not, real? Is this different from how a synthetic would feel, like an ED or a Geth? Because the Angaras are different because they feel they're not humanoids, but they're organics. So how does it feel like you're being created by something
like
else?
Clones or
like clones,
like that, genetically created. That's
once again, there's a lot of questions here that is asking really good questions, but they didn't give any answers. And the answers that they were trying to give just wasn't good enough. So to me, Mass Effect's Andromeda's biggest crime was not taking advantage of the massive opportunity it had to be one of the best sci-fi games out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're how many years since Andromeda? And it's like, based on how long it took them to make Dragon Age, Veilguard, I mean, I just feel like, and what's going on with EA right now, where they're being basically acquired, they're in a massive debt. Yeah. I worry for a studio like BioWare, and I always think back, I'm like, what if Xbox had just acquired them back in the day? Because they did so much with BioWare, going back to KOTOR and then Jade Empire and then starting off with Mass Effect. I'm like, guys, you could have acquired them versus EA. And as for all of Xbox's issues, I feel like it's a much safer place to be at Xbox than EA anytime. But maybe I'm wrong.
The Mass Effect situation, you're right with back then. It was such an easy buy because you already worked with them. You already know you already know the expertise. But they didn't. I don't know who was making the decisions back then. BioWare seemed like an easy shoe, and
even
I think
Remedy
back then they were
would have been a good fit too because they had Alan Wake, they had Quantum Break, and it felt like, well, you guys don't have a studio like that. Why don't you just acquire them and to build upon your studio strength, and they can deliver something different? And they didn't. So it's like
exactly, and I think the relationship there was strong enough as well. So it's something that baffles me. I think back then they were just. It seems like some of them were interested in just maybe doing deals, like let's just time exclusive deals, etc. But in relation to BioWare itself, and because everyone says like BioWare is doom and gloom. There's a lot of truths there, but there's a lot of optimism as well. So around 2016-17, EA was really focusing on this idea of live service. And that kind of blew up in their face. Or maybe it was 2015, and that kind of blew up in their face, right? They canceled the Star Wars game that was more single player focused, and they wanted to focus more on live service games. So BioWare made that shift as well. They brought out Andromeda, which was in the A team who made Mass Effect. It was actually like the B team. And, they tried to make it open world. They tried to do a lot of things that No Man's Sky actually did, which was, being able to travel from place to place, from different planet to planet. And it didn't work out. The tech wasn't working out for them properly. And so what happened with Andromeda is a large part of Andromeda that we're actually playing was made towards the end of Andromeda. And probably the really frustrating thing is that they brought in I can't remember his name, but they brought in someone from the previous regime to help.
Casey Hudson?
Casey Hudson came, but then somebody else came as well. And it was when he came along, then they had a proper direction, right? And the sad part is that means that Mass Effect Andromeda 2 would have had a proper direction and would have been a far superior game if the game was given an opportunity. And unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. So Andromeda didn't do well, but EA was still banking on this idea of live service, and that's when Anthem came along, and then Anthem bombed. And then once Anthem bombed, EA then kind of retraced their steps and said, "Okay, fine, go back to making your single player kind of games." And that's when Dragon Age Veilguard got rebooted, because it was supposed to be a multiplayer game at that time. So one thing I always tell people is this: Andromeda is an example of BioWare not making a fully complete game. Anthem is an example of BioWare not making a fully complete game and doing something different. Veilguard, however, regardless if you like it or you don't like it, Veilguard is a complete game that isn't broken, and it shows that BioWare can make a game from start to finish, a complete game. So now that we know that they can technically make this game, the question is, okay, what are the things in Veilguard that we didn't like, and can they remove that to focus on Mass Effect 4? Sorry, Mass Effect 4. And my answer to that is yes, they can. The first thing is Mary DeMarle. She's the one who she worked on Deus Ex. She worked on the Suicide Squad. She worked on the Avengers.
Oh, the Avengers Crystal Dynamics. Was that Crystal Dynamics? Or was that
Star-Lord. What's that franchise?
The Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yes, she worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was an amazing game.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
She did the story for that. So Guardians of the Galaxy and Deus Ex. So already you've told me that you have a great creative lead writer. So I'm already there.
Starts with writing, right? Script.
Yeah, so she's in charge. So already I'm like, okay, fine, I understand this. Now the second thing here is with Andromeda, what people have an issue with some of the writing in Andromeda. Fair enough. The people who did that writing for specific characters that people didn't like, they're actually not there anymore. BioWare has actually gotten rid of that. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? You can be upset because somebody isn't there anymore. They've lost their job. The opposite flip of that is that the people who did the good stuff are still there. So BioWare did a bit of a restructure where they let people go and they've brought some new people in to start working on the new Mass Effect game. It's going to go into, I don't think it's in full production yet. But so there's two things there to take away from this, or three things. The people who maybe made Veilguard a bad game, they're not there. The lead writer is an experienced lead writer who worked on Deus Ex and who also worked on Guardians of the Galaxy. And the final piece of the puzzle is BioWare has shown with Veilguard that they can make a complete game. So I don't expect a Mass Effect Andromeda game where it's kind of half-baked. They don't really know what they're doing here. There's some elements here that we can touch on and not touch on. I don't expect a live service game like Anthem that's unfinished. I expect a complete game like Veilguard, but I expect better direction from Mass Effect. And I think that's signs to be optimistic of it. Now, obviously, some people don't want to be optimistic. That's fine. Don't be optimistic because, we've been burnt before. However, I think there's enough evidence there. There's enough ingredients there to show that the next Mass Effect game is going to be at least a good game.
I hope so. And I think the other part is because they did the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trilogy, which means that they now have people are their developers are now have experienced. I think it was on Unreal Engine. That's what they basically did it all in, or they basically have experience now in a different tool set. Basically an engine that they're comfortable with. And I'm not sure if the Veilguard engine was. I think they used to do Frostbite because EA said everybody has to make games in Frostbite. I don't know if that changed the Veilguard, but yes, I thought Veilguard. No performance issues. I thought, yes, it might not have fit for people, their expectation of what a Dragon Age game is. But for me, not having that, I thought it was a very good game in regards to what I got out of it. It felt like more like I said, it felt more like Mass Effect because you had these companion missions. You had all of these interesting things. I thought the combat was very fun and engaging, but it was far more of an action RPG. There was not a lot of RPG in it in regards to those things. So I think people were disappointed with that. But I mean, I think that's something they can fix and adjust. And I think because of Mass Effect, I think they know what the secret sauce is with Mass Effect. It's those conversations. It's the your experience, how you treat people, your decisions. And they learned a lot from the first 3 Mass Effect games and that ending, which people like. They focused on the ending, like, oh, you didn't. But I'm like, I would always say this: it's not the destination, it's the journey. All the decisions you made along the way, to me, were interesting in those effects. It wasn't like at the ending of a game. It's always hard to end anything really well. Game, book, movie, comic, whatever. And for me, that was fine. But it was like all those cool things I did. And I remember my story. And I always tell people, I was that guy that I didn't get my Krogan because I made a bad decision. I didn't get all my guys through on that run in Mass Effect 2. I'm fine with that, but that's my story. And that's what made the game special to me. And it wasn't like, oh, did you pick the red, blue, or green path? And they fixed that. Yes. But to me, that was kind of one of those things where it's like, you know what? I'm excited to see what they do. I want to get excited for the next Mass Effect because I would also tell people it's not just one of my favorite game series. It's one of my favorite worlds and universes.
Yes.
And I think that's where, and then we can pivot into the show that we're getting. And I'm very excited for the show because I feel like video game TV series are in a far better place than ever. I think the people making these shows most likely watched or played or understand what makes these games special. And because it's Mass Effect, I feel like you don't have to, you can take what makes the series good and then you can make it very entertaining for others like Fallout or other things like that. So I'm very excited for it. I just hope it works. I know there was one like news piece that said, we're trying to make it less or more open for the mainstream audience. I'm like, of course they are. They have to sell this show to people that didn't play the game. And, you can serve both audiences very well and still make an amazing piece of,
for sure. 100%.
So I'm excited. There's a lot they can do. I think they have the budget, which is great. And it sounds like the production staff is really on track for this. Mm-hmm. And Bezos apparently likes to spend money. So like on stuff he likes. So maybe he played Mass Effect back in the day before he got married and turned to a crazy man. But he does have my same hairstyle. So I guess I'll give him that. So so with that, so if you could have one thing you want the Mass Effect TV series to be, what would it be?
I want it to be mature.
Okay.
I think one thing I always say to people is this: it doesn't have to be a like for like, and it really shouldn't be a like for like. There's a difference between a bad adaptation and a bad show. It could be a bad adaptation, but is it a good show? Is it a great show? Yes. And if it's a great show, then that's all that matters. I always point out to people that, The Last of Us, for example, if The Last of Us TV show was completely different, like let's say the game was actually different and The Last of Us TV show was the TV show, the people who are watching it, the casuals, they would still love it because it's still a good show. It's a good story to tell. So that's one difference I think people need to understand. Now, when it comes to the adaptation part of it, at the end of the day, it's a different medium. So you have to adapt it to that medium, and you have to adapt it to the people who are watching that medium. It's okay for the Mass Effect fans, the Star Wars fans, or whatever medium you're adapting to all come along, but you're really trying to catch a new audience. The Witcher is an example. Most of the people I know who watched it, they've never played the games before, and those are the people you need to court. not really me. You need to court the audience for that medium.
Yeah.
So I want Mass Effect, ideally, if you stick to the themes, I don't even care if you change things around too much, but if it's mature, if it's character driven in terms of all these other side characters and it's written well. If you do that, I don't care what decision you make. I don't care if you choose synthesis. I don't care if you choose control. I don't care if you wipe out the Krogans. As long as you make me
kill the what is the insect race that you can destroy them.
The Rachni. The Rachni.
Yes, and yes, that's a great decision. But I think those are all areas where you could make those episodes and play out, and you bring in characters. And I always said Mass Effect is like you take the relationships and the cool storylines of a Star Trek, but then you add in the elements of really amazing action elements. You add in some really cool team building. One of my favorite TV series is Farscape. It's kind of cheesy if you watch it now, but I love that ragtag group of people coming together. They go on missions, and you do cover off issues that are important. And it's kind of like giving you your medicine, but that you get sugar on top of it. So you get unique discussions, unique decisions, and using science fiction to kind of bring up issues and things in a way that makes you feel like, wow, that was really entertaining, but wow, made me think.
I just Googled it there, and I'm like, oh, this could be like Mass Effect.
Farscape, you've never seen it?
I've never seen it, no.
Oh, it's an amazing early science fiction, sci-fi channel show. But the Jim Henson Corporation or company did all of the character effects, and it's a lot like I think of like Buck Rogers, where Buck Rogers, he was an astronaut like 1984. He came up in mission, and then basically he somehow went into some like wormhole or something. He woke up 300 years later in the future, so he had that old school mentality. But he was in this strange world, and then he goes on missions. So it's a lot like that, but I would say it's an amazing show. Great races, great storylines, very fun shows, multiple seasons. And then they ended up getting, after it was canceled, they ended up getting like their miniseries after called the Peacekeeper Wars. Really, really good. I mean, if you can look past some of the special effects, considering it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, at a Sci-Fi Channel back in the budget in the early 2000s, I still think it's very fun. Yeah. Yeah,
I love the Sci-Fi Channel so much.
Battlestar Galactica, such a good thing that came out. They had some really good shows. So, well, Mass Effect. You know what, Ty? Hopefully, they were watching this, listening to it, and they took our ideas. They don't have to give me any money or you any money. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. You make your own deal.
No, I'm good.
Just make something good, guys. Make us happy and make people love Mass Effect again, because it's been too long. People have short memories and they forget. So please make it good. So let's get into actually the heart of the show, which is all about the things that made our week better. So I always start off with like, was there a news story that made you happy? Because the news cycle is typically negative, but there's sometimes something that makes you happy that you just see. Oh, like there's Punch the Monkey might have gotten a new girlfriend, or I don't know. So is there anything in that way where it was a news item or something in the world that made you happy?
It's so funny because when I saw that, I was thinking like, oh, what did I do that made me happy? And I was like, oh, I went to the gym again.
Well, that's good. That's a headline. Ty is back at the gym.
I'm back at the gym. But in terms of world news, something that made me happy this week was, I guess you could say I would say probably the sales of Pragmata. And because I think that game is a kind of throwback to something that looks a bit more simpler and it's creative as well. It's a third-person action adventure game with a gun, but it has that unique twist of, hey, we can hack things here and there, and it's quite simple. It's quite plain, and I think most people are warming up to it. Capcom has said that it sold over 1 million copies, and they're looking to turn it probably into a franchise. And I like this idea of games being unique. Games doing something different, taking things that we already have, and they're building upon it in a very innovative way. So shout out to Capcom for creating a brand new IP and succeeding in it by being different and creative. I could say the same thing about Blood of the Dawnwalker as well. The combat looks good.
Yes.
But also what's really interesting is that the concept of how time works in that game, which is a different and unique thing as well to video games. So again, I'm very into celebrating games that are trying unique, different things. So those two news are probably, the Pragmata news, obviously, that the sales did well, and just seeing Blood of the Dawn Walker and seeing everyone's hype for it. Yeah, that's, I guess you could say that kind of made my gaming week anyway.
Yeah, Blood of the Dawn Walker coming out September, which I'm like, ooh, that doesn't seem right. It seems like, wow, that game should be coming out in 2 years, but very excited, from the talent that worked on The Witcher. Oh, wow. I'm glad to see we're getting more of those talented people make studios and making like amazing content that's just going to be great. It's definitely on my must play this year. I just have to find the time.
Oh, like I'm definitely buying it. Like I saw enough of it and I was like, oh, this is a day one buy for me. It has the vibes of The Witcher, except it has the story. I'm very, like I said, very, very story driven. So if I see something that's like, oh, that looks like an interesting story, oh, it looks like I can make decisions that's gonna affect people or it's gonna change things or the outcome, I'm definitely 100% there. And yeah, Rebel Wolves is the name. These are the creators from The Witcher. I believe the creative director was one of the leads for Cyberpunk as well. So there's a lot of talent here. One thing I do like as well is that the game doesn't look exactly like a huge AAA blockbuster game. The graphics are good, but they're not like amazing. So it kind of shows you that they're probably keeping the budget in checks and they're saying, let's try this out this way. And if it works out well, then great. We can expand for Blood of the Dawn Walker 2, and then we can increase the budget. But let's rein the budgets in so we don't create these crazy expectations for us, because we've seen in the video game industry that you don't need that AAA big budget to sell well. We've seen Club Obscure do these things. We've seen Nintendo do these things. We've seen Astrobot do these things as well. Even Elden Ring, I'm sure that game costs a good bit to make, but probably not as much as Spider-Man or God of War, whatever it is. So yeah, for sure, this idea of manage budgets and let's succeed this way. Yeah, I'm definitely happy to see it, because I think that's how the industry goes forward, when people start to manage the actual budgets and not scope creep.
I wonder who talked about that in a certain Discord channel.
Just some random
figure that out. Exactly. Man, we should have a chat podcast. Hey, video game business news. Although it seems like everybody's talking about the business, they're just more focused on the drama around it. And I'm more like, hey, let's dissect this. So maybe we can do a monthly connect and say, hey, let's talk about the numbers and have a good time.
I think a lot of people who talk about the business side of things, they talk about it not from the actual business. I think the foundations are off, because the foundations are more from a console war centric point of view.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what can I say or what can I take that supports my view, as opposed to the other way around, which is, how about you work from the bottom up as opposed to from the top down?
Yeah, it's like you have to have an objective view of the situation versus coming from where your alliance or your bias lies, because I feel like that truly gets in the way of let's actually look at the heart of the issues. Let's look at the what we would always say, what's the virus that's causing the symptoms? So, or yes, it's kind of always there. So yeah, these games look amazing. I'm excited. But one question I have for you, I didn't think I asked, what do you play on? I know back in the day it was like, oh, if you're in the UK, you played on, like you mentioned, like the Mega Drive and what is it, the Spectrum and all those weird systems, maybe an Amiga, which is funny. You said the Mega Drive and I'm like, oh yeah, people probably don't realize that's the Genesis in the United States. I love those different names.
Yeah. Well, right now I have a PC and I have so when I was editing videos and I knew there's something more powerful.
Yes.
So I was like, I need to get a PC. So I became like a PC gamer, as my friend would say.
Yep.
But I primarily game on the Xbox. I had NES, Mega Drive, Wii U, GameCube. GameCube is my favorite console of all time. I think
I love that. I love that. We were just talking about like wacky controllers and I was like even saying, hey, like I would love to have a because I sold my 360 because to play old games, and I'm like, does anybody make a modern 360 controller? And I did find one, which is great. But it's amazing. Like 8BitDo and other companies have been making GameCube controllers, even that still work on the GameCube, but they can work on the modern systems too, which is great. And that controller is so weird, but that was Nintendo's style. Like
it is
works with these
so
games.
Mm-hmm.
It works with these games for a reason. That's why we design our controller around the game, not because of whatever, which I always appreciate that. So, and then the Wii U, those of us who owned it, we're a very small group. We're a cult, maybe in some ways, the one of 13 million people. And I did love the Wii U. I wish it had a longer range because, if you can't play a handheld in the bathroom, what's the purpose, right, Ty? I mean,
yeah.
It's
the Wii U was cool in the sense that it's, I think I was happy that Nintendo was making a more powerful system. I was like, finally. But primarily, I was buying these consoles because I really wanted to play Smash Bros. I wanted to play.
Yes.
I love that game so much. And that's pretty much the only game I pretty much played. The rest, I was kind of like, because I decided to move away from Nintendo. I thought the GameCube. GameCube was dope, amazing, but they didn't. I don't think they maintained that momentum going forward. And when the Wii came out, I was like, okay, they're not really targeting me as much anymore. They're targeting different people.
They're targeting your mom or your cousin who's never played before. Like, let's play Wii Sports and this really bad port of Call of Duty. It's like,
when my sister came to me, I was like, "Oh, are you gonna buy that Nintendo Wii?" I was like, "Okay, it's not for me," because now she wants it, and if she wants it, then it's probably really not as much for me.
It's the party. It's the party game. It was very gimmicky. I mean, even the good games on there, I kind of felt like were held back by the hardware, like the Mario Galaxy and games like that. It's kind of felt like, I mean, just like spend a little more money, make it HD, so it's not hard to look at.
Yeah, exactly. And the Wii, it was a success for them, good for them. Wii U was not. Switch was. And I think Nintendo's done pretty well now. They've done a really good job at pivoting, really, from what they were doing before to now, from the GameCube to now. I always say that the Switch, to me, is a return of Nintendo focusing more on the core. Because the Wii, the Wii U, and the DS and 3DS, they were all gimmick consoles.
Yeah.
And whereas the Switch isn't necessarily a gimmick, it's, to an extent you can say it is, but it's not really a gimmick because it doesn't change how you're playing these games. It changes just like where you play them. You can play them in your bathroom, obviously it's a handheld portable, but the Switch isn't telling you, oh, you have to use a Wii controller to do this. It's not telling you, oh, you got to use a touchscreen to do that. It's just saying, no, we're going back to what the GameCube was. So I actually look at the Switch as a sequel to the GameCube.
And I think the Wii U had to happen for the Switch to happen because they had to they'd play around with that bigger screen. Can they build a bigger screen? Do this go versus like a DS or something where it's limited? Can they actually get into HD gaming? And it gave them opportunities to build off that and bridge that gap. And I think the Switch. People say gimmicks. Yeah, they added some gimmicks into it, but the concept of dockable system that you play the same games on versus having to have two different systems to buy different games, like the Vita and the PlayStation 3 or the 3DS plus the I guess it had been the Wii U at the time. It became that took away resources, things like that, and they landed the Switch. And even the AAA or the third party games that have done really well, like RE Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata, play really well on the Switch, but I think that's more about the NVIDIA hardware they have in, which allows them to use DLSS. It's a much more capable hardware in some instances than AMD is in regards to the software and things like that. So I think it gives them a leg up. And my Switch 2, I've been waiting for the Pro Cons, which I always call them Pro Controllers, Pro Cons. Well, let me grab it really quick. I'll be back in 1 second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's probably easier to tell you.
Sure. No worries.
So I always say, I love the idea of the Switch. I just hate their Joy-Cons. They're small. If you're used to using a full-size controller, going back to the Joy-Cons, pointless. It's just not a great experience. And so people just get a grip. I'm like, no, the grip doesn't give you bigger sticks, so things like that. So I got these, it's kind of hard to see, but these are like the Nixie Hyperion 3s, and they connect completely. They're wireless. They do everything. They don't have some things. So I'm getting another set that does everything. But these they have back paddles, all that fun stuff, full-size stuff. That's what makes it a game changer for me. It feels like you're using a Steam Deck or something like that, or even like an Xbox ROG Ally, where you are not held back by the controls of the handheld, which I always felt like those are way limited. It's basically the best of both worlds. Yes, it's a little bit bigger, but to me, it's well worth it. And you're not compromising your ability to play, because I love the NES Pro controller or the the Switch 2 Pro controller. Love it. It feels great, but I hate that you would have to have a lesser experience if you're just playing on handheld. So I'm sad that Nintendo won't do it, but third parties are doing a much better job at doing this. So get it. Don't get these Hyperion Nixie 3s or whatever they're called. Get the MOBA pad. They're affordable. They're like $70. Work well, long battery life, and they have all the functions of the Joy-Cons. So
I'm actually surprised Nintendo isn't because like I've seen reviews of that and everyone likes it, and I'm thinking there's a market here where like you could actually end up attracting gamers with bigger hands to actually like purchase this device. Because one of the complaints one of my friends has with the Switch is like it doesn't feel comfortable to hold for long periods of time. So I'm not sure why Nintendo hasn't decided to address this with the same controller scheme.
It's kind of one of those sad things because I think they still think, it's just for kids and they want to hand off their Joy-Cons to play with others. I think that's such a niche number of people. And if they looked at their demographic, guess who's buying their Switches? It's people that are your age. I'm a little older, but still my age.
I mean, this is why they kind of also lost to Sony, because they just thought the gaming industry was for kids, and Sony was like, no, we recognize that teenagers and these gamers who grew up on you, they want more mature content, and we're going to advertise it to these kind of groups of people now. And I think they were completely surprised at this news. So I give credit a lot to Sony for coming in and making the video game industry into something bigger. I think it was always going to be bigger, but Sony really, they really brought
it happen. It's like 3DO didn't make it happen. Atari didn't make it happen. And Nintendo was perfectly fine with staying in cartridges. They were fine with a lot of different things. Sony came in because they got left at the altar by Nintendo when they were going to launch the Super PlayStation, I think what they're going to call their device, because they wanted a CD system. And they screwed up. They went to Panasonic, I think. So long story, I could go on days. I love that. Read Console Wars. It's so much fun. Tell you all that history of Nintendo being basically the bad guy. But to your point, I always felt like if Sony didn't come along, we would have not matured. We wouldn't be in the place we are now with mature options for gamers that brought out titles that we all love, that we're really into it, Western RPGs, all those things. So, and then Xbox built upon that with all of their pieces. So I think it's iterative. Sega tried, but they just were in an experience where a much bigger company that was kind of beat them to the punch with the PlayStation 2 for the Dreamcast, which because I love the Dreamcast. But you know what? Sega's making good games still. They're alive. And if the box goes away, I could care less. I still want these developers to make awesome games. So
agreed.
So we were on a tangent. Of course, this is perfectly fine. So PC and Xbox is where you play. I play on PC because your point. I love how the fact that you can justify having a very good gaming PC because you need it for something else. So that's what I did for mine as well. And then I also have a Switch 2 and a PlayStation 5. So that's where I land. So
I have a Switch as well.
Switch 1 or Switch 2?
Switch 1. I have a Switch 1. I have an Xbox Series X. I have a PS4. I didn't get the PS5. I actually, it's funny because Xbox is a strategy of trying to get players with cloud and all these things. It worked on me because I signed up to Game Pass Ultimate with cloud streaming. And that's how I got back into the ecosystem. I didn't have a device. So I was streaming the games on my mobile phone. And then once I kept on streaming the games and I was liking it, I said, okay, well, I think I would like to get the console to actually use Game Pass more. So they actually got me via their strategy.
There you go. They're advertising this is an Xbox worked. Well, you wanted an actual real Xbox.
It worked on me for sure. And then I got the Xbox and then, so that's how I got back into the ecosystem. And I also used their PC launcher. I'm not a Steam guy. I'm not I have different launchers and I'll use them. But I will say I do understand where Steam players come from when they don't like other launchers, because I have used the Ubisoft launcher multiple times and I'm just so infuriated with what it does. It just kicks me out, for no reason, just logs me out every single time. The Xbox launcher is fine, apart from when I had to re-download Starfield and purchase it again. And I'm just thinking, if I use Steam, this would have never happened. And once you start thinking like that, that's how you lose users. So I understand why Steam users are pretty much only focused on Steam, because the other launchers, honestly, I'm just surprised how bad they are. in comparison to Steam.
It's horrible. Yeah, I mean, Xbox. Microsoft's been at this game for, well, how long has Windows been around? They've been at this. Their ability to run a store, that's great. They did Windows Live, then they did other things like that. So I would say they really have not been focusing to get really more advanced in this space since 2017. I believe that's when they launched their new store. That's when Game Pass came in. That's when they started. They launched Sea of Thieves on Game Pass Ultimate, I believe, or Game Pass. So they really started getting serious about it, but they still lack. I mean, their library is far smaller than Steam. They don't get every game that goes to Steam because they have more stringent requirements of what can be in the store. And not everybody wants to make an Microsoft PC store release, which is kind of crazy. But I know that's what they're doing with Helix. They want to basically make it, if it works on Helix, it works on Steam. You don't have to have 18 different versions, so you can put it on our store. So I know where they're going. I just hope they can get there. And I just hope it doesn't require the cost of a $1,200 box to enjoy those features. That's why I'm like, Windows is a great system. And you know what? If they can make this work on PC without needing a Helix, and you can just have Windows PC and you can do this and you can still use all your libraries, awesome. But, I know they need to convince people that aren't PC gamers. How do you level them up to get them comfortable? So it becomes a long range story. But I just say, if anyone wants to check it out, they did on Windows 11 launch the Xbox game mode. Now, I believe you can download it. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm going to give that a try, see what it's worked. But basically, it's Steam Big Picture mode. So once again, Steam has been building a lot of this work that Xbox has been trying to catch up on. So we'll see if it works. So with that, my news story is we talked about adaptations versus, and Resident Evil. Resident Evil has a new trailer. This is by Zach Kreger, and I'm not sure if you're into horror at all, but Zach Kreger has been doing these really unique horror films, low budget. He's been given the K's to Resident Evil after how many failed attempts at making Resident Evil a really, I would say a great media option. We've had movies, we've had series, we've had lots of different things, but a lot of them basically just not been great. This one, we're basically, it looks like we're getting a kind of the regular person's experience in the Resident Evil universe. We aren't getting over the top Claire, Leon, Chris. We're not getting the weird and wacky villains. We're not getting that, but it looks like we're getting just basically someone trying to survive within the world of Resident Evil. And if you look at, they do allow you to open drawers like the game. And they do have some things that are reminiscent of the game. Keys to open drawers. Going down here, it looks like the goal is to get to Raccoon City. They're outside of Raccoon City. Other than that, I don't see much in this. This is just the teaser trailer. This movie's coming out in September. And at this point, I think when we get the next big trailer, we'll probably see some hints of what we know about Resident Evil. But I'm okay with them taking this approach to maybe introduce the larger world of Resident Evil to audience members who then maybe can finally take the series serious from a narrative and an experience versus getting all the weird, wacky stuff that the video game fans want. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, and I'm cool with this because when they've tried to just basically go after the parts of the games, it has failed. So I want to see them succeed, and maybe they can build upon this and bring in some of the elements of the game in the future. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm excited for this.
I saw the trailer, and the first thing that came to my mind was, doesn't really look like Resident Evil from a game perspective. And this is what I said earlier as well, which is like, you can have a bad adaptation, doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I think this new approach can work, and I think it's perfectly fine if they do it this way. If it brings the audience in, grows the Resident Evil universe somewhat, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is grow the franchise. And you're trying to bring more people into it, and you're trying to entertain people. And if this is going to lead to more entertainment and more people knowing the franchise and growing the franchise, then please go for it. Because the previous Resident Evil games, the previous Resident Evil movies, I don't think they really did much for the franchise outside of anything? Like I don't know any friends who watched it and was like, oh, Resident Evil.
It doesn't even really feel like Resident Evil either. You've got the side character. There's a mansion. It likes a ghost story, and then you sometimes bring in the characters, but it never. And then you'd bring in some of the enemies like Nemesis, and it's like,
Exactly. So I think this is actually this is a good approach, and it's a new style. And listen, if he just makes it a good movie, forget about adaptation, just make it a good movie. Bam.
This director has made amazing horror films, and he takes things in weird places. So that's why I'm very optimistic, because I think when you get a very quality creator, and this is, you're gonna laugh at me, Ty, but I am optimistic for the Masters of the Universe movie, because Phil Knight is directing that, and Phil Knight is the head of Leica Studios. He's made some amazing films. He also made my favorite Transformers film, Bumblebee.
Oh, really? I never watched Bumblebee. I don't know if it's good.
Bumblebee is very good. It's like, I love Transformers, and I'm going to talk about a little Transformers story, but I have hated the Michael Bay films. I just don't like them, because I don't think they're good films. And I don't, and so that with that, I'm like, that's fine. If there's something fanboy I could get into it. I don't even like the designs of the characters. So it's like, what's there for me? Not much. But in this case, I thought Phil Knight nailed so much about this. I think he's capable of, he's a good director. So that's one thing. And I think he knows what works for bridging nostalgia, but also making a fun film. And then he's got that his chops with all the Leica films like Kubo and all those movies he made. That's what makes me happy, that I think he knows how to navigate. And by the way, he's the son of Phil. Or did I say Phil Knight? His name is Travis Knight. His dad is Phil Knight, the head of who founded Nike, by the way. crazy experience. So yeah, that is why I'm excited for Resident Evil. I think I trust the creators. They can deliver it. And if he's a fan of the series, or he knows people that do, I think he'll find ways to make us all happy, but not ruin it for either side, and just focus on a good film. So let's get into food.
I got a quick question for you, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why do you think video games now are getting better adaptations than what they did in the past?
Because I think you've actually got the people that have experienced them, grew up with them, or understand what works, rather than back in the day, like, oh, we have the Mario license, let's put Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo in it and do something weird. It's like, or the Mortal Kombat film. I mean, at least the first one was good. It's a fighting movie, but yeah, most of the movies, or Uwe Boll directed those, and they're just. I got the license, and I don't care about treating the property with respect. I'm not going to do the homework. I'm not going to get writers that know the characters and can build off of it. So I felt like it was just more of a cash grab, like a lot like, oh, I need a toy license to make a cartoon, right? Sometimes it turned out okay, but sometimes it was horrible, because they're just like, oh, this is bad. So I think it truly is like, owning a property is not enough. It's really understanding, make it works. I mean, you can do some weird things like Barbie, where it's like, what could that be? Well, we saw how it came out. It was just a really good creator doing something unique, trusting them, the Lego movie. So just like, I think any IP, like comic movies used to be horrible. You get the right directors, Christopher Nolan making a Batman film. How crazy is that? So I think they are now trusting creators, and they're actually in people that are passionate about these things, that are also really talented, which is great too. So it's like, I think we just lacked that back in the day.
Agreed. I think everything you said, I agree. I'll add two things to that, and I think you kind of touched on one. Christopher Nolan. I think back then you just get anybody to just make one of these movies, but now when you actually get a good director and a good writer, now you know the movie's just going to be good. Again, it can still be a bad adaptation, but as long as you have somebody who's actually good at making movies, doing these things, then you're going to get a good quality movie. I think the second point is probably the growth of AAA games in general. I think because back then, it was maybe, Prince of Persia, side-scrolling game, but now you can go online on YouTube and watch all the story cutscenes of The Last of Us, of Uncharted, of BioShock.
My friend, he doesn't like video games, so he'd watch he loves Star Wars though, and we'd say, oh, this is a really good Star Wars game, so he would just watch the cutscenes of the Star Wars games, because he's like, I just want to know what this is. Is it good? So
exactly. Yeah. And if you're doing that now as a reference point, you can look at those cutscenes, those 5-hour cutscenes, and then you can then look at the actual movies and say, well, why is the movie suck, but the cutscenes here are good? Because it's a cutscene. It's the same thing. It's a movie, basically. So why is the game movie better than the actual movie? It shouldn't be that way. So I think the game movies actually give you a good reference point to build from. Assassin's Creed as well, you could do the same thing. Now, obviously, the game movies are going to be like 20 hours long, depending on how you like cut it or dice it. But you can look at that as a reference point and say, okay, so basically what I'm adapting is a 20-hour movie or 15-hour movie into something shorter. That really should be it. And I think that makes it easier for them, or it gives them a better template for them to build from and then to execute a movie or a TV show.
Yeah. A lot of people always said, if you get the feel right, typically the rest will fall in line, kind of like the Mario movie, if whether you liked it or not, the new ones. They kind of like, yep, it's Mario. There's lots of Mario stuff and it's fun. So that's enough. Now, people would say, well, the Zelda film that's coming out, that's a lot more handled because it's not a goofy, just cameo type movie. So what are you going to do? People don't trust, Nintendo properties to be well told because often there's no voice acting or things like that. And because they had past failures with the old Super Mario movie and also the Zelda cartoon, which you remember when Link said, "Excuse me, princess," which was kind of weird, sassy 80s dialogue. You just wondered, is that possible? And Miyamoto is involved, which is good, but Miyamoto's never been a story guy. So it's it also becomes well, if he doesn't think much of stories in video games, then how is this going to turn out? So I hope.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think Miyamoto being involved is even a great thing because he's not.
All he'll tell you is Link needs to look a certain way, I guess, but he hasn't really worked on the Zelda games, the hardcore Zelda games, even Breath of the Wild thing. He's been more of that looks good, but he gives it to Numa, I think, is the developer that really has been So unless I hear Numa's really this is going to work, this is the story, because I think their stories have gotten better, and they've actually started including voice acting. But I think we all know Link will talk, even if it's limited.
What's actually really interesting? I was having this discussion with somebody how would they do it, and he actually said, "Have you seen this movie called Apocalypto?"
Oh, where it's the was that Mel Gibson directed? It takes place in South America. It's very brutal. And
the
no
Aztecs,
dialogue, right?
I believe. Yeah, yes. Aztecs or Mel. I think it was Mel Gibson, and he said because they don't really speak in that movie, and that movie is well executed without actually speaking or understanding the language. And once he said that, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Zelda could fit in that because they don't really talk in Zelda either. You could actually make that work. So I think that's actually a good shout for if they wanted to go that direction. Now, I don't think they will. I think they will speak. That's just what they're going to do. But that would have been a good shout for the movie. I think they could have made it work because obviously he worked in that franchise as well.
I think like anything, you don't have to have. I think there's it's the character that the hero that speaks very little, but what he says is important, I think is where you can go. I don't think he has to talk a lot. I think that's why you add in the side characters, the people in those games that do talk your mind. Because if you think about those games, how much dialogue do you read in those games because of the NPCs and stuff like that? You add those characters complement. It's like if you think about The Witcher, the main character doesn't speak a lot. Everyone else around him does. Or when he speaks, it's enough. Or if you think of The Quiet Place, where they don't speak a lot because they have to be quiet. So there's a lot of ways to bridge the gap and then have something unique to make it good. Fantasy is even harder to do. There's not many great fantasy movies. Fantasy TV series are a mixed bag at times. So they have their work cut out for them. But I'm hoping they can nail it because I would like to see more genres of video games be popular, or movies and series be more popular than just this or that, or it's all kiddie or something like that. So we will see in about a year, and then we'll have a conversation of did they do it? But I think that first trailer is going to I think it's going to set the internet on fire. Just like when they introduced it's Chris it's Chris as the voice of Mario. People were laughing. Yeah, Chris Pratt. So oh yeah, Chris Pratt again. We know Chris Pratt is not in the Zelda movie, so folks, simmer down. It's okay. So let's get into food. We watch with our eyes, we eat with our mouth. So in regards to food, we are chatty Cathy's today, so we'll probably just talk about one thing each in the next category, so we can not keep you up. Well, it's not too late, but it's still you might get a little sleepy in Ireland. So, what food item made you happy this week?
Pokeballs. Is that how you call them?
One of my wife's favorites.
Yeah, they're I think they're originally from Hawaii. At least that's what I was told. And I started having them in the Netherlands because I was over there visiting, and the shop out a few restaurants I wanted to eat was closed down. Or it wasn't closed down, but it was like closing, or it was like too full. And there was this restaurant, and I was like, okay, well, it's healthy looking. It's vegetables and some salmon, so let me just try it out. I always just looked at it as like a salad with fish, so I wasn't like crazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried it, and Jesus, it was great. It was amazing. At least this shop's chef was dope at it. And ever since then, I've just been having it whenever I want to go back into healthy eating, or at least get something that has a lot of quantity, a lot of vegetables, and a lot of protein. I pretty much just go for that. So Pokeballs have been what I've been eating, or at least something I ate this week that made me happy, you could say. Yeah. And you?
Probably not what you ate, but yes.
Yes.
They have several actually.
It was this that I had, yes. So much green. So much green.
And it's wonderful. You can tailor it to whatever you want. They typically have like, hey, this is our Diablo, or this is the more tropical, or depending on what protein you like, if you like salmon or you like something else. And my wife likes it. She's gluten intolerant, so she always has to be careful like what dressings they use, what sauces they use. So they typically let you pick and choose, and you do spicy, and it is very healthy. I mean, you're talking about whole foods. It's great. We have a couple of poke restaurants in the area, and we love them to pieces. And they typically also get a boba tea or something like that too. So it's a good time. So yeah, I you know what? You're back at the gym. You're eating poke. Wow, look at you go, Taye.
Yeah, it's
getting healthy in 2026.
Yeah, no, I need to. I've been 2020. The end of 2025 was pretty good from a healthy perspective, and then at the start of 2026, it just came crashing down. But now I need to get back up, especially because the summer's around the corner, so you want to make sure that when you're outside, you're in good shape. You're fit enough to play sports with your friends and run around.
Well, you're in Ireland. I don't know if it gets warm enough there. Overcast, green.
Listen, there's this thing called global warming. That's
okay. That's good to hear that. It's a positive for Ireland. There you go.
Oh yeah. For the cold countries, it's a positive now. For the warm countries, I don't know.
You're from Nigeria, right? My wife is from the Philippines, and then we have a large Somali population here. So it's always I always find it funny, people complain about the cold when they're in California. I'm like, people come from very tropical, very humid places, come here and they don't die, surprisingly. So that's okay. But I love that. Well, I'm going to trump what you had sorry, I hate using that word. I'm going to raise you what you had with something completely unhealthy. And that is Burger King. I'm trying to avoid fast food, but sometimes it's just like it calls to you. They've called it the maple bacon experience is back at Burger King. So they have a maple bourbon bacon Whopper. It's got all those things that are unhealthy, like fried onion rings. There's jalapenos. There's bacon. Wonderful barbecue sauce. But that's not enough just to do it on the Whopper. You got to do it on the bacon croissant sandwich. And then you also have to do it on the burrito junior. Candied maple bacon. Not good. Tasty, but a bad decision for me, Taye.
So I have two things there. Number one, Burger King is my favorite burger joint to eat.
Yes, flame broiled, man.
When I want to default to a burger place, I go to Burger King. I don't really do Supermax or McDonald's as much. I do Burger King. That's number one. Number two, I'm someone who, when you show me a new type of burger, and it has a nice image, or it has a nice trailer, whatever it is, I feel like I have to eat it. I have to taste it. So I'm looking.
Sorry, did I derail you?
Yeah, you derailed me. I'm looking at this croissant burger, and I'm like, I need to know how that tastes. I need to have
the
that.
croissant which at Burger King. That's like one of the top tier breakfast items. And I'm just putting on breakfast sandwiches. I know in the UK. breakfast there is like ridiculous. It's typically like what, bangers and beans and sausage and bacon is huge.
Eggs, bacon, the whole shebang. Yeah.
So this is what we try to do to bring to the table. So yeah, in that, even that little burrito junior, they call it junior, but I mean, that's enough for like 3 kids. So
yeah.
But yeah,
no, it looks
so
good.
not healthy. But I love Burger King too. I'd rather have it, but there's not as many here as there are McDonald's and other things. So I'm glad to hear they've invaded the UK, though. That's great to hear.
Yeah, they have indeed.
Have it your way, as they always say. And then, do they give you a crown? Can you go in there and get the crown, or no?
No, I mean, not anymore. I think they actually might. Maybe for the kids, there could be, but I haven't seen a crown in a long time.
Okay, well, good to know. So let's get into what we watched. So this is TVs or movies. We'll each hit one. So which one would you like to talk about?
The Beauty. Beauty is a show on Disney Plus, and it's quite interesting because it's like this serum or this medicine or drug that allows you to transform into a normal person, into the most sexist person ever. And basically, there's a bit of a conspiracy in terms of, how it's coming about, the people who are using it, what are they using it for? What lengths are they willing to go to monetize this drug that is going to literally change the world, change how we all look at things. But also it's a question of, what are the side effects of this drug? And, again, like what lengths are people willing to go to consume it? Amazing show. I love it. I love the directness of it. I love the fact that it feels like it's written by real people, like people who are just like, okay, like what is the reality of the situation? Let's talk. How do people actually speak? Let's do all these things. And they have all these interesting characters that are very unique, and it's well acted. And every character that I have come across, I remember, like Ashton Kutcher, as you can see, he's in the shot. He does an amazing job. But pretty much every actor here does an amazing job in this. It's a really, really.
Is that Megan? What's her name? The Megan Trainor, the singer.
I'm not sure. No,
I think it is.
It could be
All About That Bass singer. I think that's her.
It could be. It's just there's so much here, and I think it's really, really good. I'm nearly finished it. I think I have maybe 2 more episodes to go through, but yeah, it's a show I definitely recommend to anyone to watch. Before that, I was watching Pluribus.
I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I just got distracted by other things.
It's too slow.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's a bit too slow. Like, I mean, it's an interesting concept, but I just feel like they could have sped things up a little bit more. So, just like you, I just stopped watching it. I just never went back. And then I jumped onto The Beauty, and boom, I'm like hooked.
It's interesting because we had The Substance, right? Kind of a similar theme, but that's just a movie. This is Ryan Murphy. He makes so many interesting series. Sometimes he starts strong and then it ends badly. So it's good to hear though that's continuing to be good, because you never know, and that's always the worry with the series. It's like, do I commit to it if it just fails at the end? So I'm glad to hear that, because I'd heard mixed things about the series, but I always like to hear another opinion on it. So it sounds like it got it for you. So that's good to hear.
Andres, what TV show did you watch this week that you loved?
Oh my goodness, this is such a fun show. Talk about makes you happy. I like shows that just warm your heart, and this show is for anybody. And this show is called This is a Gardening Show. It's on Netflix, and it's basically Zach Galifianakis, the comedian, and every episode's 15 minutes long, so it's not even very long. He loves to garden, but he wants to learn more about it. So every episode is about one thing. So the first episode that I watched is called Apples. It's just about apples. So he goes to a apple orchard. He talks to kids about apples, whether they like it or not, gives you a little history on apples. And then at the orchard, you actually learn how to do grafting and learning how apples are made, how the different species are created of apples. And it's just heartwarming, very funny, goofy. Zach, typically, his approach to people is very unique. And the fact that he's got kids on, it's like he has kids of his own, but he's very good at putting on that naivete. And the way he does it, it's he's kind of talking to the person who's filming him at the same time, saying, "How did that go?" I don't know. So it's very disarming. It's fun. And I just love it. It's short, and you're learning a little bit more about, what we all love to eat, and maybe we should all look into doing more farming. Maybe we learn something along the way, and you're entertained. It's a show that would work for anybody, unless you hate Zach Galifianakis, and maybe you do, and maybe it doesn't work for you. But I think it's funny. Like the lady in the apple orchard is so funny, and he just gets entertained by her, and she does the same thing. And I love it. And every episode's different. And there's going to be a corn episode. There's going to be a foraging episode. And it's on Netflix, so they're all out there. And it's 15 minutes long. So I think that makes it, for me, a good experience. I'm a big fan of shorter shows. I don't think every drama has to be an hour long. In comedies, I'm glad comedies can be a half hour long. Longer comedies typically are less funny because you try to draw things out. So I highly recommend the show. It's gardening season right now, so I'm trying to motivate myself. I have a little garden on the side. I'm going to do some things, and because our weather in Minnesota is it's 1 minute, it's frozen. I can't freeze. It's freezing, so I can't plant yet. So now we're in a good spot. The lawn is growing. I did get. I just have sad news. From my front lawn was invaded by voles. Is anybody aware of what a vole is? Ty?
No.
So a vole. Maybe I can get a picture of it. A vole is like a tiny mole. So kind of makes sense. They have a 1-letter difference, but they destroy the roots of basically the limited roots for like lawn. So I looked at my lawn. It looks horrible. And I'm like, what is this? And I started talking to some people. I think you may have voles. I'm like, what do you do with voles? Well, you can do a bunch of different things. You can give them these pellets that is filled with this protein where they can't digest it, so they die. You can do lots of. So I'm like, this is too much. So I hired a service that they're taking care of the voles, but very frustrating. I look at it, it makes me sad that my lawn looks a certain way. I'm going to show an image of what a vole is. They're super cute. I mean, and this is actually a good line right here. So there's your vole at top. There's your mole and a gopher. So they're tiny. They're like mice size. So I've never seen one before, but apparently when there's a layer of snow on the grass, that's when they go to town. They eat the roots of the grass, and you come up and it's like, what the heck happened to my lawn? So there we go. There's your ecology and agricultural lesson of the week.
And like, would there be like a lot of them or just a couple?
I don't know. It seems like it was concentrated in one area, and they said, oh yes. And typically if someone has treated their lawn for voles, they will move on to someone else's lawn who hasn't. So I might be I might have received voles from someone else's lawn. So apparently one treatment's enough. If it is, I'll eventually do something. So it's an interesting lesson I've learned, and they are cute. But I have a dog, and if he sees them, he would probably try to eat them. So that is voles, and we are good to go on that. So you learned a little about voles and gardening. Thank you, Todd. So we go on to the next area, which is music, books, and hobby. This is kind of like the potpourri. I have a couple of these, but I just want to make sure we, hey, people do more than watch TV and play video games. So which one would you like to talk about, Ty?
We can do books. I think books is a good one.
So you give me your pick.
So there's this book called The Mercy of Gods, which is by James S. Corey. He's the guy who wrote The Expanse. Don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, perfect. That was one of those things that we talk about, like adaptations, the TV series or the books, or now we've got games coming out. So this is a new series by him?
Yeah, so it's a new series by him. It's called The Captives' War. So I've actually finished Mercy of Gods, which came out in 2024, and I'm reading the sequel, which is The Fate of Beasts. This story is basically centered around humanity has been, you could say, invaded by an alien race, and they've been captured, and the aliens think is very specific way. They're like a beehive mind, and it's not about humans trying to go to war with them to kill them. It's actually about a little bit more. It's a little bit different. It's about being embedded within the alien, you could say, organization or infrastructure, and then taking them down from within. So in that sense, it's a bit of a thriller, which is really, really interesting. It's a different take on what they really, what they used to work on, because as they said themselves, we always told a human story and, humanity did this, but now we want to tell a more grander story of the universe And as opposed to this idea of like, well, let's go to war and just nuke them. It's like, no. Let's make them that the aliens are like far superior in so many ways that we can't even like comprehend how powerful they are. However, what we can do is we can write a story about how we are within their culture and how do we take them down from within. And I think that's the attractive part of the story. But it's really, really good. And for people out there who don't like books or don't want to read it, there is a TV show. I believe Amazon has picked up the rights to it. I don't know if it's being greenlit yet, but you expect a TV show from the Captives War. When it's going to come out, I'm not too sure, but it's there's conversations already happening.
You know what I think is great? I mean, I was diagnosed with ADHD late in life, and I think that kind of brought back why I had such a hard time. I loved reading, but I could get easily distracted. I would have to reread because I get distracted by my brain. So comics became more forte, graphic novels, adaptations of those things in different formats. But then audiobooks have been great. I just started Dungeon Crawler Carl in audiobook. It's been great. It's entertaining. So I would say most people say, get the story how you can. And if you can read, great, awesome. It's a great way to just connect the page, use your imagination. But audiobooks are very similar. It's a written tale. You're still using your imagination to get those characters in your brain. So I believe these are probably an audiobook. So people could, if that's their preferred method, while they're going for a run or, driving into work, it's a great way to do things.
So yeah, you're right. I only listen to audiobooks these days. Like I just do, because as much as I like reading books, and I have a couple of books myself, when I have an audiobook, it allows me just to go on my walks, go for runs and listen to them in work. It's just a lot more productive, and I get a lot more done with audiobooks. So
when you read, you only can read, right? You can't do anything else, which is good sometimes. You should only be doing one thing, but it's hard when there's so many things in the world that are taking your time.
Yeah, like if I want to clean the house, like I can't read and clean the house, but I can listen to an audiobook and clean the house, So yeah, audiobooks is what I've been doing. I don't think I'll ever actually pick up a book again to read. Like, I can't just see it, because now
it's hard. I fall asleep when I try to read. I'm like, it's late and I'm going to read it, and I start falling asleep. So it's tough.
Yeah, one thing about audiobooks that can get to me is like there's a few books I really want to read, and I would have read them already if I read books, but the problem is the narrator of the audiobook I just don't like.
Yes,
like the voice isn't catching me, and I get tired, and I get a bit like so that is one con of audiobooks, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame, because you kind of wish like, ooh, why did they pick that one? Because there's very famous voice audiobook narrators that they hire a lot. Like Will Wheaton was famous for doing Ready Player One, and then I think the other one is the Harry Potter books. They have a very famous narrator for those. So you do hope. I would say Dungeon Crawler Carl is a very fun one to pick up, and I do like the guy. He does very good with different voices. I actually didn't even know he did some of the voices, and I think you would like it, Ty, because it ties in video games to fantasy to science fiction. I said it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the Running Man. It's a unique concept. It's very fun. So, and they actually have a graphic novel coming out of that, and there's a show coming out too. So I always say, worst case scenario, wait till the adaptation comes on, how you can enjoy it, because I think it's great that, and some people read the books after they watch the thing, so it can be a full circle of life.
Yeah, no, I agree. Funny enough, when Game of Thrones came out, I watched the first season, and as soon as I watched the first season, I just went straight to the books. I was like, "Yep, the books is what I'm going to do." So I just did a little switch there. Now I did end up obviously watching the whole, the whole TV series as well, but the books became my primary way to consume it after the first season was my primary way of consuming their content.
It's amazing. You're still going to wait till those book series ends, because I don't know if George is ever going to finish those, which is just sad. I mean, like I ever said, well, you should wait till the source material is on. Well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. George is not getting any younger.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so my moment that I want to talk about is actually music based, and it is event based. So last night I went to a concert by myself. I am a big fan of doing things by yourself if you can. I don't require someone to be with me for something I enjoy. It's great when you can, but I also don't want to make someone who doesn't like something go to something they won't like, and then I feel like bad. So I saw a band I'd heard so much about. I've been listening to them a long time, and I saw they were coming to concert. So I saw The Midnight, which is a synth band, pop band, whatever, very 80s feel, very cyberpunk feel with lots of neons and things like that. They incorporate a lot of imagery of like cyberpunk in a lot of ways that I think is really fun. And they are an amazing band live. And they ended up having the opening band, the New Constellations, come on, and the singer came on and sang the song with the lead singer. They were amazing. It was so much fun. The background graphics are amazing. They actually have a saxophone player who plays keyboards, so he comes out with a saxophone. He's amazing. They've got this keyboardist in the back. She comes out with a guitar and does the riffs. Both the lead singer who plays guitar and the lead guitarist, they also then get on the keys and do some crazy synthesizer stuff. The drummer's amazing. He goes whole hog. It's just a great band to watch. Highly entertaining. They were so joyful. Some of the stories he told me about, like, there's a song they called Comeback Kid about, like, hey, if anybody's ever gone through something bad, this song is for you. It's my story, but anybody can embrace some, going through a hard time and coming back from that challenge. It was really nice. It was great to hear it. And, and just the visuals in the background are amazing. And the music, it kind of covers a lot of different areas. They do some, mainly, instrumental synth, but they did one song that was all instrumental, which was very cool. Felt more techno than anything. And it was great. And even the opening band, the New Constellations, were great. It was just the female singer you see there. And then her partner is a guitarist. And then they have basically a backing track that they play against. But they're amazing. But their story was like, we started a band. We're friends since junior high. We tried it. We realized we couldn't make money. So it kind of ended our dream. But then we came back together. We decided we're going to make this work, even if we can't, make a lot of money. And they said, they've been at this for 9 years, and they finally have been able to quit their day jobs and tour and be successful. So great band, great experience. This concert, I saw this at the Palace Theater in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's an older theater. It was abandoned, and they've been resurrecting it. And I thought the theater was just a cool place to see it at. Had a blast. Great time. Everybody was chill. So that's my experience.
No, it looks good. I actually like the graphics in the background as well.
I think if you like Mass Effect, and that feel, the music will be right in your feels. So,
oh wow, okay,
yeah, the Midnight. I will. It's all streaming if you want to listen to it on YouTube or your favorite streaming service. And I actually picked up an album at their place because I just recently got into vinyl, so I did buy a album at the concert. So it was affordable, not too bad. So that is my music experience of the week. So I'm glad I got to do that. It's fun. I think going to events, being around people, having that feel, just it's always engaging. Makes me feel very energetic. Came home, told my wife, I'm like, I think you guys would have liked it. And I think they're just too busy. My son would love it. He's a sophomore. He's a music major. He's going to be a music teacher. So I think he would love it too, but he's in the middle of finals. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's good. And I think, it's good to show support. The last concert I went to, I can't even remember actually, but in terms of performance, the last performance I went to, I think it was a comedy show.
Okay.
But yeah, you into comedy?
I am. We saw Charlie Barron's a couple weeks ago. He's a Midwestern comedian guy. He does a lot of YouTube shorts. That's where we found him. So the three of us went to that. It was very fun, very engaging. The opening act was actually a teacher who does comedy during her breaks. So she was hilarious. I'd love to see more comedians. We've got a lot of places we can see them. So, So which comedian did you see, or was it just local comedians?
It was local comedians. There was a guy on the street, and he was all like, "Oh, we're doing a comedy show. Do you want to come?" And I was like, sure, why not? Support the local guys. So I went there. A few people I think one guy was from Nigeria, one guy was from Scotland, another person was Irish, and another person was French, I believe.
Wow, lots of good accents there.
Yeah,
the Scottish guy was the one you probably couldn't understand.
The Scottish guy did an accent for everybody. He was so good. He was just mimicking every single group out there. Great. He was great. Yeah, but yeah,
I'm sure everybody made fun of the French guy.
Oh, like I said, it was fantastic. Everyone took shots at each other, and it was just a really good vibe. But yeah, the local comedy shows are good. Big ones are good too as well.
Yeah, I went to Chicago last year, and went to the basically the second city, which is one of the most famous comedy clubs in the U.S. And they had an improv group, and they were amazing. Sometimes improv is not good. Well, not improv. It was more sketch comedy, more like SNL. Saturday Night Live just dropped in the UK now. You guys get that show too, so you can watch it there. But it was sketch comedy. It was very good. Great, just update of that. So rather than improv, they were just basically doing sketches and different. So I like the fact that they're doing things like that rather than just straight stand up improv. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I love comedy. Just need to do more of it. Let's get into games really quickly. I mean, we're gamers, and typically we talk a lot about games, but we don't actually play games as much as we should because we get distracted by media and things. So which one do you want to talk about?
So video game wise, I was playing Replaced recently, and Replaced it's a 2D game immersed in a 3D world. And I think, once again, I always say you got to be unique in this day and age to get people's attention. That might be from a gameplay perspective, story perspective, or it might be from a visual perspective. And Replaced certainly takes the visual part. Where I think the game lacks, and this is not me giving a review because I've only played it for a couple of hours. I think the game's combats can get a bit repetitive from what I've kind of played. I'm not saying that's a bad thing per se because it's very similar to the Arkham game. You counterattack, you dodge. But I think for me, because the fact that it's a 2D game and there's only like one direction to go, it means there's lack of interactivity and potential options. I think the way I've been playing the game right now, I feel like I've seen it all. Like I feel like there's nothing really new that it's going to show me. There might be new combat things here and there, but overall I feel like I have the core gameplay loop down. And because I have the core gameplay loop down, I'm not as interested. The story hasn't hooked me yet, and I think that's where maybe I will keep on playing it because the story is interesting. But overall, I don't think I'm going to keep playing it because, I don't think it's for me per se.
How far did you get into it? Because I did play, I was on a show, they do 1 hour, one decision, where they only play a game for an hour and then they talk about it. And so I was on that show. So I played about a little bit over an hour, got to the part where there's actually more like fetch quests.
Yeah, so I'm around that location as well. Like I played a couple of hours in it, and I was kind of just like running back and fighting because I actually enjoyed it. Then I restarted it again, and I was like reading all the notebooks and the notebooks and things like that. But overall, the more I played it, the more I fought, and I was like, if this is the combat, then I don't think it's gonna be for me because there isn't really much there. Plus, I think the game has some issues in terms of some major issues, but I would say it doesn't do a great job in saying, like jump onto this ladder per se. Like it's just very like
I had some points where I felt like I didn't know what I could actually
do,
like jump up to. Like I don't know if I could reach that part. So maybe it was part of the like just they didn't make it visible enough. And
exactly,
that's a good point on like the gameplay. It feels like the Arkham games where it's like that kind of rhythm combat. So I wasn't sure too if it was going to, but. The whole thing getting to the fetch quest part was different. I didn't expect that. And I'm like, is it catching me? Is it making me interested? So I feel kind of like we're in the same spot with that. And if the story's not grabbing us, then it's okay, right? It's okay to try a game. If it's not for you, put it down and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. And I was thinking about Pragmata next, but then I was like, I don't know.
I started that. It's really, really good. To your point, it is very much like those Capcom era games where it felt like the gameplay and everything just kind of is smooth. It's good. The story is intriguing, but it doesn't overwhelm you. And the main characters are very interesting and fun. So I think you may like it. I liked it. I'm going to play more of it. And the combat is just it's fresh. I mean, it's just a mix of that gunplay, different weapons you can upgrade. There's upgrades, but then your companion, Diana, she does like this mini like puzzle game where if she does a mapping of it, and if it does it just right, you can then pause the enemies. You can do some things to take away their energy, which makes it entertaining because it's like you're almost doing two different things, and you have to be careful because it's still real time. So you have to jump out of the way, maybe restart again. So I found that very interesting. I think the movement is excellent. Like just the feel of playing the game feels so solid that it's excellent. I think it's challenging enough that you'll be like, "Oh, and the enemies are crazy looking too. So I think you'll like it. But yeah, if you want to wait till a deal or something, if you have a PC, obviously you can just wait till it gets like 20% off.
But my problem is, I have such a huge backlog.
I know.
I just can't. And, even if I wanted to play it, then Forza's going to come. And then when Forza comes, I'm going to push it further down. And then it's just going to keep going down. And then
just wait then. I would say then, because limited time. If you don't play it now, the likelihood of you playing later is probably lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm there with you. So really quickly, a game that I played and then put down, but I think it's enjoyable. I think a lot of people will find a lot of fun in this game, and it's on Game Pass right now, and that's Vampire Crawlers. Ooh. This is by the Vampire team, but they decided to go different, where they went basically a dungeon crawler, and you use cards for combat. You can upgrade those cards. It's got a little Balatro feel, but you are using your car combat. You're going in there. It's this really cool. The pixels are big. They're standing up, essentially the same pixels from the game. And you explore different dungeons. You go down. If you die, you come back up, but you can upgrade. You can play with different heroes. The cards you can upgrade. And it's enjoyable. I love the effects, the feel of taking those chunky pixels and making them in your face. The world just kind of comes alive when you do something cool. It just feels very rewarding. You can look at the overworld map and you can see where you want to go. So you can sneak around people. There's no surprise combat. It's really, you see a character on the screen, you run into them, it opens up for combat. And it's like very cheap, and it's on everything now. So I think this game's really would be great for. I don't know if this is on Switch too. It might be, but it feels like this could also be a mobile game that could be very easy to do, because I don't feel like it's basically turn based too, so it's not Twitch based. So I recommend it if you're interested in that type of game. But for me, it's roguelite, and I feel like that's just a game you keep playing, and there's no end. So. Maybe there is, but I never see it. So
I have no idea why this game is not on mobile. Like, it just looks like it would be perfect for mobile.
Yeah, on mobile, and I'm like, why aren't you on mobile now? Because it seems like it's perfect.
Yeah,
I guess it is if you play cloud. I mean,
yeah, sure.
Game Pass, yeah.
But I look at it and I'm thinking, like, my phone can handle this 100%. Yeah, so, like, what's
our phones can do a heck of a lot. They can play Resident Evil Requiem or 8 or something like that. I mean, yeah. It's a shame.
It seems like a miss for sure. Yeah, I think it definitely should be. Because I can imagine mobile players wanting to play this because it's quite simple. It's a card game, and
it's turn based. It's like there's no like Twitch. It's as you saw the video. It's not like it's going to be drive your phone. It's going to kill your battery. I feel like it's definitely attainable. So maybe that's just launched now on these systems, and then eventually on things other than that.
Yeah,
Dungeon.
I can imagine so.
Yeah, Vampire Survivors, that came out. That there's a free game. You can play that online on your phone through the mobile version. I think it's just you go to the website and you play it. So, and I played it that way with like a little phone grip, just because I don't like touchscreen controls. But very good. Okay, just really one quick wild card, kind of fun, quick. Temu. I've gone down the rabbit hole. I don't know why, but I do find fun things every once in a while. So I'll be like, okay, this is interesting. I am a fan of the Transformers. I love the toys, but I'm cheap. So there's always been these knockoffs. They call them KOs of the Masterpiece line, and they're affordable. But they typically take away anything that's like Transformers logos, things like that. They don't call them Transformers. They don't call them by the names. So I got one. I saw. I'm like, I've always wanted a good Optimus Prime that looks good, and I found one. And it is. Let's see. Can put this in. There we go. This one's called Iron General. Not Optimus Prime, but it is Optimus Prime. And it is high quality. I mean, for what it can be. This is a 7-inch size Optimus Prime. There's no trailer. Transforms. It does have the I'm blanking on the name. The basically what all primes carry to be Optimus Prime. It's the you got the touch, they pull it apart. I'm blanking on the name. That is there. You can put it in Prime's chest. He has the two things you can put in there, a little blast for the gun, and you can replace his hand with the light axe. It's all I could ask for a Transformer. It was like $22. So you know what? Temu delivered. They don't always. And I did shows before, but I did get a Sword of Omens, Thundercat's sword from Temu. It was good too. So 2 for 2 on the geeky stuff. Don't buy hard drives from Temu because they will cheat you. And they say it's this and it's not. So don't buy hard drives, but do buy, take a chance on maybe some collectibles because sometimes they're good.
What's a question for you? What got you into Transformers, I should say?
I was a kid in the 80s. So they had basically every day after school, they would show the Transformers. It was the greatest commercial for a toy line. The cartoon was great. I loved it to pieces, and it just got me into it. And as a kid, I've always loved robots and things that were very cool looking, and to me, it fit the bill. My first before that was Robotech. Robotech was like amazing, transforming. It was an anime, obviously, that got brought to the States in a weird way, and then we just got that. I was in basically the glory days of Saturday morning cartoons, commercials, all these action figure lines, and Transformers was my baby along with He-Man. So that is my story. Most of my Transformers were given away from my mom when I was a kid, or I sold them. So I kind of gone back and bought some pieces that I liked, but I'm not like a huge collector. I have a few, but I also don't want them to dominate my life because I like too many other things. So
I think the idea, whoever who came up with the idea of Transformers is like, I feel like they're like a genius. Like the idea that you can have robots turn into vehicles is just like it's a boy's dream. I just feel like, you
absolutely.
know, cars and then be a robot and then turn into a car again and drive off. Like, it's so cool.
I would recommend 2 shows for you to watch. One is called The Toys That Made Us. It's a documentary series on Netflix. It's every episode is about the history of a toy line. It's amazing. It's so much fun.
I've watched business. Yes, I've watched it. It's really good.
And then I would recommend, it's called, I believe it's called Secret Galaxy. And it is a really informative history of toys across the board. They do a lot of covering cartoons. And it's not just like they talk about the business, the development, the strange things, like Transformers started as Diaclones, and Diaclones were this line in Japan made by Takara, I believe. And then when they wanted to launch the brand in the US, they said, we need like storylines for these characters. We need names. We need this. We need a cartoon line to sell it. So they actually went to Marvel, which was great, Marvel Comics. And they said, hey, Bob Budiansky, what are you doing? Nothing. Okay, you're going to create names and character bios for all these Transformers, and then you're going to build a comic, and then those are going to be used in the toys as well. And I got to interview that guy. It was so much fun. And he talked about his process and what he did. And it was just great. I love, like I said, I love talking about corporations and what we do, you know, in regards to things and the like Hasbro, Mattel, all those corporations, they make money, but they do have cool ideas and things they make. So I like those type of shows. So if you haven't watched either though, or watch the Toy Galaxy or Secret Galaxy, they're on YouTube. They have some really good stuff. So I'll put those links in the notes as well for there. So Ty, we're done with this week. We're looking forward now. So what is your best thing you're looking forward to this week?
So we have a bank holiday this week. So I'm going to take it easy, relax, and I hope to game somewhat. So I want to play the Banishers. It's a game that I've been kind of looking forward to.
I think you'll like it. Great story. That team that made it, they made Vampire before this. They now made Banishers, and they just launched Aphelion. I think that's their most recent game, which is on Game Pass as well. But Banishers is great. Just really amazing story. Comet is good enough, but it's really the story that drives you forward. So I think what I've learned about you sounds like that would hit your wheelhouse. Yeah.
And that's why I'm moving away from your place, because I'm like, I feel like I could use my time to enjoy something else more.
Yes.
So Banishers I'm looking to play. I have some guests coming over as well, so that's going to be fun and interesting. But overall, I think I want to make, I might make a new video on something. So I'm not too sure yet. It might be on The Expanse. Okay. It might be on Exodus. It might be on Mass Effect again, but I might make a video again. I have another channel where I kind of talk about video game news sometimes here and there. And I do podcasts with some of the other guys. So I'm feeling creative this week. So
that's good to hear. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I your channel. We're going to talk a little bit about your channel and some of the stuff you do. And yeah, your voiceovers are just kind of calming as you talk about the things you love and your discussion about that. I think it's great. So it's amazing. I can't wait to see what we do next in regards to that era and whatever game piques your interest. And have you played the Telltale? I don't know what game it is. Did you play the Expanse game that's Telltale-esque?
I haven't played it yet, and I was looking to play it at some point, and then out of nowhere, Owlcat comes and says, "Hey, we're making Osiris Reborn." So I was like, okay, I think I'm going to play that one instead. So yeah, that's what.
Yes, and the beta just came out about. People have been playing that. The game's been out for a year, but I'm so intrigued. It has a Mass Effect vibe, and I just love the Expanse, that world. I'd love to dig deeper. But that Telltale game is more about like the relationships. I think it's Drive. I'm trying to remember the character, the Belter, who Drummer. Yes, it's basically focused on her in the Belter universe. So that's kind of cool. I think I own it on something, maybe Steam. I really, with those type of games, I really just want to play them on the go. So I really need them to be on Switch.
Yeah, you're right. There's for me, like, there's just some games that's like, nah, this has to be like in a handheld form. Like, I don't know. I can't see myself playing some of these games on like my PC or my Xbox.
Yeah, and like Dispatch, that was a game I was so excited to try it on Switch 2, but they ended up putting all of these censorship in it within that game. I don't know why, so I ended up canceling my pre-order there. So I'll eventually play Dispatch, but I'll have to figure out where I want to play it.
I'm gonna play it because I was looking to buy it, and then as soon as I saw like it was coming out on Xbox, we Play Anywhere. I'm like, oh, Play Anywhere. So I have it on my Xbox, I have it on my PC, and I'm gonna get it on my handheld. I'm like, okay, I'm buying it on Xbox when it comes out.
No, that makes sense, because that seems like a game that should be run really well on mobile or cloud or whatever. So yeah. Oh, well, let me know how that does on cloud, because sometimes I'm like, I hope cloud becomes what it needs to be for people to not have to own a box and still enjoy games. That's my goal in life, is to will that into existence.
And I think what we're gonna see is, because I know they're gonna start taking the Helix chip, whichever they're doing, the Magna chip, whatever, and they're going to start using that instead for the cloud. And because that's more powerful, we should get better performance with the cloud. So I am looking forward to seeing what their next gen cloud looks like, and hopefully replicates something similar to what GeForce does, or even Stadia. I think if they do that, and and then there's that advertising cloud, I think that should take off.
Yeah, absolutely. GeForce Now, I know that is considered like the crown jewel of streaming. Works great on any device you have, because your device isn't doing the heavy lifting. And so I know that's required on what library games it supports. So it doesn't support everything in Steam. It doesn't support everything here, but I hope that works. And it's an option for people to say, I just own a really crappy Chromebook, or I own a mobile device, or even maybe my console that I own in the future may allow that to happen. My TV supports GeForce Now, which is kind of cool.
That's cool, yeah. I played because I have Starfield, and this was before we got the 60 frames patch. It's just when the game launched, and I was playing on my TV. My TV isn't the best, like, true, but at some point I decided to switch it to GeForce Now, and when I switched it to GeForce Now, I was just like, my laptop, which is pretty old and pretty bad, my mobile phone are so superior to what I'm playing on my Xbox Series X. I just couldn't really go back. Now, luckily for me, I was buying a new PC, so I just migrated to the PC. But at that point, I was thinking to myself, like because for me, at least the internet was good enough. So I was thinking to myself that, like, when I went back to console, I was like, I can't. It's so much worse. It looks worse, and it doesn't play as nice. So
you're kind of trapped on that one screen, or
Exactly. And that's one of the beauties about Stadia, because I remember, like, the first time I played Cyberpunk was at the airport on my mobile phone via Stadia, and it ran well. Like, it really ran well. And then I was playing Cyberpunk on the PC, mobile phone. I had the Chrome cast and plugged to my TV, and it hit me that the idea of accessibility is like the future. Being able to play anywhere is like that should just be default, right? And then once
cross saves, whatever you do, your saves should be going wherever you go. I think regardless, some companies allow you to do that, some don't. And I even think of like even if you don't want to own a console in the future, you could maybe get cloud on Xbox. Just pay for cloud and you get the Game Pass games there. Or hey, I used to have a Steam powerful enough computer to play Steam games, but now I don't. But that Steam library, I keep buying games on it, but now play it with GeForce Now, which once again, and GeForce and Steam has cloud saves. So once again, your save goes wherever you go.
Exactly. I had a chance to buy Star Wars Fallen Order, I believe, on on Xbox, PlayStation. I could order it from Amazon. I could order from here, there. I got on Stadia instead. And that was a great decision, because once I had it on a Stadia, not only could I play it on my TV, but on my mobile phone, on my laptop, everywhere. Yeah. And I just thought to myself,
you could even play it at your friend's house, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, I was like, that is the tipping point there. Like, when all things are the same, when the game is the same on Xbox, PlayStation, and streaming or whatever it is, the platform that offers me more options is going to get my money instead.
Yeah, it's we're in an interesting place going forward. I'm so excited. And like I said, I think if Xbox is going to be successful and they want to grow their user base, I think cloud needs to be more in your face. And I know because they've kind of moved away from certain things, but I think not play anywhere, play everywhere. I mean, because anywhere right now is kind of limited to console and PC. And how many people still own an Xbox? Limited. So you're kind of limited. So you're just playing on PC. Like me, I own a gaming PC. I don't own an Xbox. So it's play anywhere just means, I got to play it on my PC. So if they got really courageous, they could say play anywhere, and you get that game, you buy it on PC, and you can play it on Steam. So there's more to this discussion, of course, but maybe we'll reconvene, I believe, Taye, if you're interested in this, we'll reconvene. We'll have a little bit more of a focused gaming chat, I think, which is appropriate. We can talk about that because I think it's both of our passions, and I don't talk about many games anymore. So I would like to do that in a different way rather than just talk about the daily news and things like that, because I think that's already covered by many, many other podcasters. But I'll wrap mine up with what I'm excited about this week is, fool me once. Hopefully I don't get fooled twice. And that is the Mortal Kombat 2 coming to theaters. The first movie actually was during COVID. It was on HBO just put it there day one. It was never in theaters. And now we're getting Mortal Kombat 2, which they made the smart decision now, make it based on an actual character versus the first game, which did not. They created a character, which was weird decision. But now we've got Johnny Cage, played by Carl Urban, who's one of my favorite actors. He is now Johnny Cage. We've got the cast of characters. We've got some great supporting actors playing all these cool characters we've seen. It's definitely R-rated. It's not holding anything back. And I'm hoping they finally nailed it. We've got this, which is always more Kombat's a little bit, grim and gritty, but then sometimes we get some comedy. We've got Street Fighter movie, which is going over the top. Man, I'm very optimistic about this, but I could be wrong.
It looks good. The funny thing about Mortal Kombat, when I was a kid, maybe a bit older as well, I did watch the TV show Mortal Kombat, like the real life TV show, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And me and my friends would do this thing where we say like, "Oh, if you were in charge of this franchise, what would you do?" And one of the things I said is, I don't know if you watched this movie before called The Raid. It's a
I have not. I need to see The Raid, but I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
I believe the last Judge Dredd, they took inspiration from The Raid.
It's possible. I haven't seen Judge Dredd, but that's definitely possible.
You should. Carl Urban's in that too. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I think you'd enjoy it.
And so The Raid is, excuse me, The Raid is really good. It has a lot of cool fight scenes. And when I was watching The Raid, it actually reminded me of Mortal Kombat in the sense of this is a lot of martial arts. And I always wanted Mortal Kombat to, get the creators of the raid and help them in terms of like, the fighting. And I thought about Spartacus, the TV show, and I said, get the guys who made Spartacus, the gruesomeness, the grittiness of Spartacus, and get the fight choreographic guys of the raid, and you make it an amazing TV show, an amazing movie. So that was my hope for Mortal Kombat. What I'm seeing here isn't that, but maybe I'm just too optimistic.
No, it's still video gamey. It's still like you said, it's trying to be faithful to the game rather than focus on adapting it to
what I want.
It's playing to its audience. It's not going broader. There was a series on A&E or AMC I think it was called Into the Wasteland. It was called. I'll have to look it up, but that one looked like what you were looking for, but it was the fighting in that was Into the Wasteland TV series. Maybe not.
Yeah, nothing's popping up on my side.
Oh, I'll have to look it up for you. But basically, it was very much using really good fighting choreography in kind of a post-apocalyptic world where, people were surviving. There was a little bit of mythology, little supernatural elements, but fighting was a big part of it. So it's almost like a Eastern focused view of that with Western characters. So I'll look into it and I'll see if I can find that. But that was a show I always thought looked pretty cool, but I never got to watch it. So maybe that might be something you're interested in. Well, you know what? That's for another episode. Taye, I felt like we had gone like 2 more hours. I really enjoyed talking to you, learning about you, and I love hearing your thoughts on obviously a broad range of topics, and I think that's awesome. And being from Ireland, or Nigeria and Ireland, it's great that I get more of a worldview when I have someone like you on the show. So thank you so much for coming on. So before we say goodbye, where can people reach out to you?
You guys can find me on Taye Talks. That's TayeTalks on YouTube, and same thing on X or Twitter. My channel is primarily focused on Mass Effect / RPG content. That's where I primarily do my stuff. Oh, there it is. The videos on the genophage, videos on a range of topics, and obviously I do videos on the Expanse and Excess as well. So yeah, if you like RPG content, you like sci-fi stuff, go check out the channel. And I think I will be making something for next week. I'll start to at least write a script for something for next week. So yeah, if you like those kind of content, do check it out.
Excellent. And it's so funny, Taye, when you see people's their graphics or their icons. When I first saw that, I thought you were wearing like a Cyclops mask and it's just a pull down hat. So oh, that's what it is. Okay, I get it. Yes. And then Taye, please make more content. I think what you do is cool. So I think that's awesome to see. So go visit Taye's stuff, and right now I met Taye through Discord, through XEP. Sometimes that's a cool place to just meet people, find out who the cool people are, and there's very little negativity in those Discords, which are great. So I'm glad we were able to connect, and so I'll probably send Taye a invite to our Discord. So if you like what you heard with Taye, you can maybe potentially talk to him there. But I'll add Taye's content into our this podcast feed. And also, Taye, by all means, post your stuff when you do it, because we have share your stuff in our Discord as well. So we want people to share the cool stuff they're making. So thank you again, Taye. It's 6 hour difference. So at this point it is now 7 p.m. your time. Oh, perfect time for a second cup of tea and then some more fun. So hopefully you pick the game you love or watch the show you love, and we'll talk then. If you want to find more from what I do, I would say primarily check out at the Fandom Foundry on all BlueSkys, and also on Instagram. If you want my own personal stuff, I'm at Toxtra and at Todd Oxtra on the same areas. But we have the Fandom Foundry. We have a Discord channel. We have a YouTube channel. We also have a website, and we are on podcast services around the galaxy. I would say check out our network feed. You get all the shows for one free price, so you don't have to download multiple podcasts. So if you're interested in talking about your best things you did this week, let me know. I'd love to have guests. I like diverse voices. I love people that bring something new to the table and the things they love. So with that, Ty, I hope your week is your best week ever. And to all, have a great week. See you later.